All right. And we've got another special guest with us for the second hour.
Another special guest?
Another one, along with Sam in the studio. Everybody's seen it in the local news and in the national news now. We had a local student who's at this time still anonymous, to my knowledge.
Cypress Lake.
Along with his mother, who is still anonymous. Cypress Lake High School student disarms a gunman on a bus before the gunman's able to shoot anyone. Hero, right? You would think he'd be a hero. It's a heroic action.
Seems fairly heroic.
Seems heroic.
Meets the standard definition of hero.
I would say so.
Put your life in danger to save other people.
Exactly. And so what does he get for it? He gets suspended from school. Why does he get suspended? Well, let's talk to Jeff Nadel. Is it Nadel? Jeff, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. How do you pronounce your last name?
Nadel.
All right, Jeff Nadel. Jeff Nadel is with the National Youth Rights Association, and Jeff is representing this anonymous student from Cypress Lake High School. Jeff, I just kind of introed, the incident itself, but I want you to expound on it for us. Give us the story as to what happened up to the event, and then what's gone on directly after the event with the school board, with the principal, with the actual school. How was this student treated? All that kind of stuff. Bring us through it.
Sure. I'll give you kind of a breakdown. It's been quite a story, as you might imagine. So we started out on February 26th with the incident on the bus itself. A student pulled out a gun and a .22 caliber RG-14 revolver, pointed it at another student on the bus, and said, "I'm going to shoot you." This is all in the arrest report. This is all confirmed by everyone who was involved. And the student that we're representing, along with a few others, saw this happen, decided to charge the student who had the gun, tackle him to the ground, and wrestle the gun from his hands.
Amazing.
So this is the actual incident that happened. Now, another question that we have to raise here is, what was the bus driver doing? Right now, we have no idea.
Hopefully driving the bus.
Probably texting.
Yeah. So we do not know what the bus driver did when this incident happened or after the fact. But after this, subsequently the next day, students were brought into the office. The student we're representing was interrogated for 4 hours against his will, denied access to an attorney, denied access to his mother. His mother was repeatedly calling the school during this time. She had heard that something was happening at the school, and no one was taking her calls. No one was telling her what was happening.
Who did the interrogation?
It was both by school officials and law enforcement officials. So he was in a room basically alone with a bunch of law enforcement and school officials at once for this time.
Without his mother and without an attorney present.
That's exactly right. And they never told him that he had the right not to talk, that he had the right not to incriminate himself or anyone else. There were no warnings of any sort that he was given. So at that point, the mother finally gets to the school at about 11:30 a.m. And the assistant principal gives her a referral slip saying that her son was suspended. This obviously she's completely confused because she hears the story about the son's act of heroism, saving the lives of the students on the bus, and the victim himself, who's also anonymous, but the victim himself has said without the act of heroism, he would have been dead, and maybe others would have been as well.
So basically, the other student who had the gun pointed at him realizes that his life was saved by the act of this anonymous hero, as we'll call him, for wrestling the gun away from this the potential shooter.
That's exactly right. So the mother's given this referral slip saying imposing a suspension, and the referral slip lists one reason and one reason only for the suspension.
What is that?
And that is that the student was involved in an incident on the bus in which a weapon was present. And I'm quoting from it. So this happens. The mother goes home, takes the student home. The student's suspended. Local media gets wind of the story and starts reporting on it. As soon as the local media finds out about the story, the school goes back in and alters the original referral slip, adds in more information in different handwriting in a different pen, and sends the new copy, which has the same date as the original but is altered, sends the new copy back to the mother and says, "Here's an updated referral."
So Jeff, does the mother have both copies then?
The mother has both copies. I have both copies. I'm looking at both right now.
What does the update say? What do they add to it?
So they add to it that he was uncooperative, insubordinate, that he lied repeatedly. And on the initial referral, there's sort of an area on there where you can categorize the incident. There was no category circled because, of course, this is an absurd reason to punish someone for an act of heroism which saved lives. No category was circled on the first slip. However, once it was altered, they circled the category that says insubordination/disrespect.
Who's the principal out there? What's her name?
Tracy Perkins.
Tracy Perkins.
Yes, Principal Tracy Perkins.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. Just up to this point in this story, if you were a student or a parent of a different student,
Sure.
and now you realize that you're going to be suspended for aiding in a situation like this, do you think it's going to deter you from even helping someone because you might be afraid of the repercussions?
There's no question.
Yeah.
I mean, the message that the school district is sending, I mean, and this is a horrible thing, but the message the school district is sending is that they would have rather seen this incident end in tragedy than have a hero step up and end it.
I might be able to agree with you.
No
on
wonder
that.
the kids are so confused nowadays.
Right.
Well, this is what and Jeff, you and I spoke yesterday or the day before about this. As we were getting you set up to call into the show, and something I said, and this is something that I've said for several years now, because I have younger children in school. Both of them started in public school, and now my older child, he's in a private school. But my younger one is still in public school because he's in a gifted program, and that's currently the best place for him to be. But I've seen multiple instances where these zero tolerance policies seem to equate to zero common sense.
There's no common sense.
They have a broad
Doesn't
brush.
sound like the teacher's using any common
No,
sense.
they have a broad brush fix for each of these incidents, but never that they don't seem to take the incident one at a time. It's okay. You were involved in an altercation with another student, so you're going to be suspended, regardless of the fact that you saved lives by pulling the gun out of a guy's head.
Right.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you were a police officer and you did this, you'd be given some type of a medal at the
Right.
sheriff's department.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I could not agree more with your characterization of the policy. And if you look at this case in particular, it even goes farther. Not only does the school's decision make no sense to us, but what their actions show is actually it made no sense to them too, but they're trying to defend it now.
Sure.
After they realized the reason there's a cover up at all, the reason that they altered the suspension slip is because they realized someone told them that suspension was completely indefensible, that it was completely nonsensical, and they had to go back in. So for whatever reason, they still felt that the student should be suspended, even though they realized
Right.
that they couldn't defend the reason that they suspended him. So they went back in and added additional reasons that just are not grounded in fact, and now are claiming that
Are you
that is
suing
why
the
he was
school?
suspended. I'm sorry, what?
Are you suing the school?
We're not suing the school yet. What I will tell you is this, to continue the story as to our relations with the school and the school district. What happened is immediately when our organization, the National Youth Rights Association, got involved, we reached out to the school, reached out to the principal, reached out to the district. Anyone who would take our calls, we reached out to. And we just explained, look, we don't think you're trying to be malicious. We think this was simply a bad decision made, in a time of high stress and high pressure. Let's correct it. Let's remove the suspension from the student's record. Let's acknowledge his act of heroism. Let's acknowledge that he should be praised instead of punished, and the issue can be over. But what
That seems reasonable to me.
I have to agree. I mean, what we encountered was that the principal has told us she's standing by her decision. What I will tell you is that we now do have an open dialogue with the school district, which we are appreciative of, but they've yet to make the right decision. They've yet to make the just
Well, it
decision.
sounds to me, Jeff, like the school, they made their decision. Then the news media jumped on, made them out to look like the bad guy that they are because of their decision, and now they're playing defense. Now they've got to try to come up with a reason as to justify their initial claim.
Well, the buck's going to stop at the principal's office.
But it's looking worse and worse because I saw the story when it hit national. I don't watch a lot of the local news. So I saw it when it hit the national media, and I saw it all over Facebook, on Twitter. Glenn Beck picked it up. Fox News picked it up nationally. But I actually went back to one of the local reporters, Matthew Grant from Fox 4, and read his story, and I thought he did a really nice story on it. But that to me is what the school district is doing. they're trying to cover their tracks is what it looks like.
Schools seem to make a series of dumb decisions.
Over and over.
It's not just one incident. It's over and over. Every week they're in the news for doing something totally irrational.
You have so many problems in the way that schools are run these days. I mean, it's top-down command from Tallahassee and from Washington, D.C. Parents and teachers who know these children can't make rational decisions that are in the best interest of the child because of, like you said, these policies.
Yeah.
Where do these policies come from? Somebody in the Department of Education, the teachers union, is writing a policy to try and corral all these kids into some, little Hitler Youth thing, and then somebody falls out of line.
Youth thing.
Yeah. Well,
Sam.
In this case, I mean, what goes on in the schools to me is appalling. And I have a 5-year-old that's about to enter the public school system, and I can tell you, I'm scared to death. I am scared to death of what's going to occur, with what she's going to pick up,
it's a social epidemic is what it is in the schools.
Well,
it's a complete failure of the system.
And it's running rampant, like you guys said. Jeff, this is something that you and I talked about. Like I mentioned, I've got a couple younger children, and when one of my children was 5, I think he was in the kindergarten at the time. He's a boy. He's a roughhousing little boy, and he draws on a piece of paper somebody he labels as a good guy with his little stick figure and his little stick figure gun, and he's got a bad guy. He draws a bad guy, and it says bad guy above his head in a little cloud or something. Probably something he picked up on cartoons, Bugs Bunny, who knows? Right. But he almost gets suspended because the good guy character has a stick figure gun pointed at the bad guy character on a piece of paper on a 2D drawing, stick figures, and he gets brought in and interrogated, like you said, not for 4 hours, but almost suspended for an incident that is nothing. Yeah. I mean, boys play cowboys and Indians. They play cops and robbers.
They just had an incident we were talking about earlier when we first got here about the cupcake and an army man. There's a lady had these little cupcakes, and she put little World War II army men we all played with, and there was a big incident over this. I mean, for real? Are you kidding me?
No common sense.
This is ridiculous.
No,
it's so true, and a large part of the problem is that schools are supposed to be places where students are nurtured and educated and protected, kept safe. But what it's turning into is the schools are so eager to dole out blame to students and put them in horrible positions that compromise their ability to get educated. This student in particular, during the 4 hours he was interrogated and during the 3 days he was suspended, should have been getting the education to which he's entitled at that school. Instead, he was being disciplined for his act of heroism, and the school's very quick to blame him for everything that went wrong. What about their bus driver, who's the employee, who didn't call the police, didn't report it? His name is nowhere in the incident report that the police filed.
Just curious. Just curious.
Is the bus driver suspended?
Just curious. Is are the boys white, black, Mexican? What are they?
Does it matter?
I'm just curious.
That's a liberal for you.
No, I'm curious.
Right. He has to take a sense.
No, I want to find out.
He's
they're American. How about that? They're American.
Trayvon Martin was too. Trayvon Martin was too.
American. Yeah, no, I don't want to. Just in the
he's remaining anonymous.
I don't want to.
What happened to the alleged shooter, to the supposed shooter,
or the almost shooter?
Almost shooter.
The almost shooter. That's right.
He probably gets counseling.
He was arrested. Charges were filed. He was charged for possession of a firearm on school property, and he was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without the intent to kill.
You pull out your weapon, you say, I'm going to kill you, and you're charged with assault with a deadly weapon without the intent to kill? How is that even...
What I will also say is that the mother of the student who was arrested for the gun incident actually came out and said that the student we're representing got a raw deal.
Oh, really?
For disarming her son.
Wow.
Even she recognized.
Has the principal or the teachers, has the school made any statements? I mean, how are they defending this at this point?
So after we repeatedly contacted them, and after the local media repeatedly contacted them, the district finally put out an incredibly curt press release.
I saw it.
They direct everyone to it. And, I mean, literally what the press release says is, we can't talk about it, but it's more complex than you think.
Right.
Because it involves student discipline, we can't talk about it. And that's what the school's hiding behind. If you talk to anyone, if you can get anyone on the phone, they'll tell you, well, our hands are tied, we can't talk about it. Now, I mean, that may be true legally, but the fact of the matter is it is not more complex than it seems.
Sure.
Maybe it's more complex insofar as other students are concerned, but the student that we are representing, I'm looking at the suspension slip now. It says he's suspended for being involved in the incident on the bus. That's it. End of story. That's why he was suspended, and we need to undo it. And I want to also say that we're announcing for the first time on this show now that we're launching a petition to try to force the school district to expunge a student's record, and that petition is at www.schoolbushero.com. Schoolbushero.com.
Hey, Jeff, I actually want to talk about that petition a little bit more when we come back from break. Are you able to hold through the break for us?
Absolutely not.
Okay, we're gonna go to break because we've got another announcement to make as well that kind of coincides with the petition, and we're gonna talk about that when we get back from break. We've got some callers on hold. We may do a three-way call if they've got questions for you, Jeff, and the National Youth Rights Association. So give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. 277-9600, 775-9600. We'll be right back.
Securing your family, your business, your property. That's what's important in your world. No matter how big, no matter how small. Secure your world with Imperial Fire Alarm and Security today.
Imperial Fire Alarm and Security is a local company with hometown service, the way it should be. One call to Imperial will align you with the most effective fire alarm, security, and surveillance systems, as well as state-of-the-art wireless monitoring. If you're a property manager or condo association member, ask about Imperial's wireless monitoring systems to replace costly and unreliable phone lines and save your community thousands. From individual homes to large communities, Imperial Fire Alarm and Security can secure your world.
Don't you think it's time to secure your world? Imperial Fire Alarm and Security services Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. Learn more at imperialfiresecurity.com or to schedule your free consultation, call 239-288-6482. Secure your world at imperialfiresecurity.com.
License number EF2000046.
GOOMTAN. I was tan last summer, now I'm pale again. I need a little bit of help to be ready for the beach. Zoomtan puts some within my reach. Brown as a biscuit for $9.99. Zoomtan.com for a limited time. Zoomtan, $9.99.
Zoomtan has 25 locations throughout Florida. Go to Zoomtan.com for a location near you and for a free spray tan coupon. That's Zoomtan.com. Why be pale and pasty when you can be tan and tasty?
You know, people came in with really, really bad credit so far this month, a lot of them, Caroline, and you know what? They were so excited. They not only left with a brand new Kia, but they got a check to do whatever they want for $1,000. I think one guy took his wife. They went up to New York City for a long weekend. Another couple had some kids in college. They used it to pay the kids' tuition. I mean, one person had a medical bill. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You know, you get a great deal on a car. You get a great warranty, a 10-year warranty. You get rebates up to $3,500. You get special financing rates. And then when you leave, Billy Facilla gives you $1,000. Caroline, why would you shop anywhere else?
I don't know, Billy. It's March Hugeness, and the best way to find out about your financing options before you even come in and see us if you still owe Kia is to log on to hugekiacredit.com. You can select your location at the bottom of the screen. It's that simple.
It's that simple. One word describes it, Caroline. Huge.
We want to help you save money on dining out. Save 50% on some of the area's finest restaurants, like Club Sushi, a sushi connoisseur's delight, serving only the finest sushi and sashimi on Tamiami Trail North in Naples. So get your $50 gift cards for just $25 and start enjoying. These half-off cards make great gifts, company incentives, or simply treat yourself and save some money. Just log on to this radio station's website, look for the half-price deals, and start saving 50%. Don't miss the 61st annual Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring, fueled by Fresh from Florida. March 13th through 16th at Sebring International Raceway. See top teams including Corvette, Porsche, Audi, Ferrari, and more. There'll be driver autograph sessions, vintage car displays, live music, and fireworks. Kids 12 and under free with paid adults. Party in the Spring Break Party Zone, featuring model search and bikini contest presented by Boner Outfitter. For tickets and info, call 800-626-RACE or visit SebringRaceway.com. Sponsored in part by Michelin, Chevrolet, Budweiser, Tampa Tribune, and Highlands Today.
Hey, what's happening? I'm Wright Brand Bacon, the bigger, better bacon. When you bite into Wright Brand Bacon, it's like DJ Bacon dropping a beat in a packed bacon disco in your mouth. I'm so meaty and delicious, I'm like meat candy. When you fry me up, I smell so good, it draws a crowd like free money. I'm so tender.
Wright Brand Bacon. Bigger, better bacon. Find out more at biggerbetterbacon.com.
The Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty.
Part of the story I don't like is that the little boy gave up looking for Happy after an hour. He didn't put posters up or anything. He just sat on the porch like a goon and waited. That little boy's got to think, you got a pet. You got a responsibility. If your dog is lost, you don't look for an hour and then call it quits. You get your ass out there and you find that dog.
Now back to the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96 K-Rock.
Welcome back, 239-277-9600 or 775-9600. You can email us at JD or Smitty at theledgeradioshow.com. You can also check out our live stream at theledgeradioshow.com. And on the line with us, coming back, is Jeff Nadel from the National Youth Rights Association. Jeff, you back with us, buddy?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. And we've been talking about the Cypress Lake, what we're deeming as the Cypress Lake hero, the student from Cypress Lake High School.
You got to come up with a nice fancy name for that kid or something, man.
I'm sure that something better will come along, but just for the folks that didn't hear before the break, this was the student that disarmed a gunman on a bus before he could shoot another student. And the premise behind the reason why we've got Jeff on and the Youth Rights Association is the student wasn't hailed as a hero. He was suspended from school for being involved in an incident with a weapon.
The parents have to be extremely proud of their kid.
I'm sure they are.
Extremely proud of him.
And Jeff, you mentioned right before we went to break, you guys have a new online petition where people can go and give a little bump for the petition and what it's for and what it's about.
Sure. So what we've been trying to do and what we have to do is put pressure on the school and the district to make the right decision. And we've been doing that in a whole lot of ways, but the signal we've been getting from them is it's not enough. They haven't been pushed to make that decision yet. So we just created an online petition. Every time someone signs that petition, an email is going to be sent to a whole host of decision makers within the district and within the school to let them know that the public is behind this heroic student and they want to see his record expunged, the suspension taken off his record. So you can go on to schoolbushero.com.
There you go. I like that. School Bus Hero.
He's a school bus hero.
Sign the
I got a
petition
school
right there,
bus hero.
That's like in stereo, man.
See
Both
that,
you
man?
guys breaking out with it.
I was thinking the exact same
I said
thing.
1970s. They rock. Jimi Hendrix came out with a good album.
So School Bus Hero, was it .com or .org?
.com, yep.
Schoolbushero.com.
You can go on there and sign the petition, and like I said, we'll eventually deliver all these signatures to the district and to the school itself to show that the public is behind us and the public is behind the students.
Well, and think of it. Think of this. I mean, I don't know what this particular student's academic level is, if he's planning to go to college, if he's got some future plans for that path. But with this with a suspension on your school record at this day and age, with as many children that are trying to get into college and it being so competitive, if you've got something like that on your record and they look into it and see what it says with a weapon, the college is going to be like, we don't really want that person here. So,
but then you tell them the whole story.
You don't get that chance.
No, it doesn't matter because the colleges are also a bunch of scaredy cats, just like that.
Yeah.
Just like this.
So we've got to get this guy's record expunged. It's got to be clean.
He's a hero, man.
He's a hero.
And I wanted to announce also on this show, in conjunction with the Southwest Florida Young Republicans Club,
Easy Republicans,
along with the Ledge Radio Show, Torchlight Productions, and the National Youth Rights Organization, we've also set up a donation site for this anonymous student. For anyone that wants to donate to help his cause, what it's going to do, these donations will go to help for a college scholarship fund. They can go to help with legal costs if in fact they have to go to court for this incident. So you can go to cypresslakehero.com. You can donate. The proceeds will go to the student. The donations will be turned into a check to be presented to the student and his mother at a time when we think that enough money's come in to help support the cause. And Jeff, you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think this is a great way to do it. We're blasted on Facebook, Reddit, all the social media sites. We want to get as many supporters as we can for this student because, far be it from us to not, if we don't stand behind.
If there ever was a clear case where a guy deserves to be held up and said, look what this guy did, man. He saved a life. He stepped in front of a bullet and grabbed a gun, for God's sake. And now you're going to turn around and suspend him? Right. What is this world coming to, man?
I think that
and we're so appreciative of what you all have done with CypressLakeHero.com. I mean, this student and his family have just gone through so much in the last week or so. It's been, incredibly trying time on them. And they as well are so incredibly appreciative of the support that they've seen from the community and efforts like this with CypressLakeHero.com has just been amazing.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate what you do, and I've actually got, and I know Sam wants to get in here real quick. We've got some callers on the line. They may want to. I think we can tie them in with you while you're on the line in case you can provide any information towards their story that they're going to bring up, because there's so many incidences every day, just like this one. No, let me back that up. Not just like this one. Because this
bad
incident,
decisions,
bad decisions from the school districts or school boards. Again, like Smitty mentioned earlier, the cupcake incident, or the child that chewed his pastry into the possible shape of a gun and was suspended for
and
it.
Said bang bang.
It's a pastry. It's a pastry, and he makes it look
Part
like
of
a
the
gun.
whole anti-gun culture. You guys
Absolutely. So, Jeff, if you want to stay with us, I want to get a couple callers here, and let's see if we can talk through them. Sam, did you have one last thing for Jeff before we get to the callers?
I'm just still curious as to what the holdup is on the part of the school and the principal. I mean, they're obviously they got egg on their face. They need to suck it up, apologize.
Yeah, they could come out smell like a rose if they play their cards right.
Right. I mean,
but if they don't,
there's still time for this principal to get down off her high horse
and rectify
and do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, I mean, she should be crucified.
Right. Absolutely.
If she's going to ruin this kid's life by putting this on his
Absolutely.
record,
I agree.
she should be crucified.
I agree.
Well, let's take a call. Let's go to line one. I've got Al from Naples. Al, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us, buddy?
Yeah, good morning. What I called about, I didn't hear you guys talking about it, was actually the Pop-Tart gun.
Right.
And how, I don't know if people out there have heard about this, and how insane that is. I forget how old the child was, because that lunch table nibbles on a Pop-Tart, goes bang, bang, and he gets suspended.
Yeah, well, that's again. We just mentioned the pastry turned into a gun incident. It's this zero tolerance policy that's across the nation that does not allow these school districts the latitude to make
a zero Pop-Tart.
Right, to make an actual and informed decision.
Pop-Tarts.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm surprised that Michelle Obama didn't have him suspended anyway because it was a Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
But no.
Another thing, an honor student at Barron College, her and her mom were moving one weekend, and they found a butter knife in her trunk.
I remember that story.
I do too.
Yeah, the butter knife, the knife was in her trunk. It was on school property.
Zero tolerance.
A butter knife. They were moving. They had moved their house. All their stuff.
She didn't just come from a bagel store. I mean.
But Jeff, and that goes back to what we're talking about with Jeff. There's
zero tolerance now.
Zero common sense with these zero tolerance policies. And Al, thanks for the call, buddy. We appreciate it. I mean, Jeff, you see it the same way I do. I think that we've got to get some common sense back to the school districts.
Without a question. I mean, look, these schools and these school districts are so often just trampling upon the rights of students, and when you can look at a case and it is so clear-cut as this one or as the Pop-Tart one. I mean, we have cases all the time. A student draws on a desk with a permanent marker. I think this was in New York, and is let out of the school in handcuffs because of it.
Wow.
I mean, there is no common sense.
Well, let me ask you this.
Let
me ask you this, Jeff. In that incident, I'm not familiar with it. Was he let out of school in handcuffs because he defaced public property, or was it because of what he drew on the desk?
I believe it was just defacing public property.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was just squiggles.
Wow. Well, you got to think about it. City of New York. I mean, you can't have a soda bigger than 16 ounces, or you're going to be let out of the. If Domino's delivers your pizza with a 2-liter bottle, they're going to go to jail. So, what more can you ask from the City of New York?
We also have Nathan's hot dog competition too. So
yeah, Nathan's is good. Nathan's is good. Let's take another call while we got Jeff on the line with us. Line 3, Sick Rick. We got Eric from Naples. Eric, you're on the Ledge Radio Show.
Yes, good morning, guys. I just want to make 2 real quick points. One is when I was growing up, a lot of times with the school boards, things seem to be a lot more black and white. Now everybody seems to be trying to live in this weird shade of gray, and this is a perfect case where, the young man stood up, did the right thing, and now they're trying to turn around and say, sometimes doing the right thing isn't the right thing. These kids are at a time of their life where life is really confusing for them, and they're supposed to be, getting educated and taught to do the right thing in the schools, and now they're being, punished for doing the right thing. I mean, how do we teach our kids the difference between right and wrong with this going on?
That's a good point. Yeah. That's something that we've talked about this morning is, and I mentioned that early on, is when other students maybe even siblings or just other peers of this one student sees how he's paraded around as a they didn't arrest him, they didn't arrest the hero, but they did suspend him from school for stopping a shooting. And that
it confuses the kids. They don't know what the heck to do now. They're like, well, should I do that? Should I do this? Maybe lawyers have gotten too much involved. And the guy was right. Simplify these things.
Yeah.
Simplify them.
Well, think about it in this respect. How many times have we heard, or maybe we've even got children, Sam, your child's a little too young yet, but where your child may have been involved in a fight in school. You know, how many kids have not been in a fight in school?
Oh my!
I mean, Smitty, you that's all you did in school.
Oh my!
You know, but the thing is, if you are the victim per se, let's say you get hit.
If a kid comes up to you and picks a fight with you and you fight back to defend yourself, you're thrown.
You get suspended too because it's zero tolerance. Because the school says, well, it takes two to tango. Well, you know what? If my son gets punched in the face or is getting beat up by some other kid, I give him full authority to defend himself. Right. I mean, if we have adults in a state of Florida specifically that have the stand your ground law that can defend themselves legally so that they're not killed by someone else, then our students, our youth, should have the same right to defend themselves.
I'd rather visit
thanks for the call, Eric.
I'd rather visit my kid in the detention than in the hospital.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so Jeff, are you guys running across incidents?
Be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Exactly.
Sam.
You know, Jeff, are you seeing some of the same issues with the Youth Rights Association where you've got students, like Smitty was saying, they get in an altercation, the victim defends himself, and yet he's treated just as bad as the aggressor.
For that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to look at what is the goal of schools here? What are they trying to teach? I mean, in this case specifically, you have a student who stepped up, risked his own life, risked his own safety to save others on the bus, and the school condemns him for it and says, no, that's not the lesson we're trying to teach. You should have stayed in your seat.
Yeah, I lay that right at the lap of the principal, man.
And that is a real problem. But yeah, to address the larger point, I mean, we haven't dealt with specific cases like you're mentioning, but I've seen this consistently in news reports and elsewhere from sort of anecdotal stories we've gotten from our activists across the country, which is that an incident will happen, some sort of physical altercation, and everyone who had anything to do with it gets hauled into the office and disciplined for it. Doesn't matter if you're defending yourself, doesn't matter if you're trying to stop the incident, but you were involved and therefore you're a villain.
Well, I agree.
How do we expect these things to end well? How do we expect this to end well?
The only way I can figure anything could come out of this really is Tracy to just recant and say, look, we had a knee-jerk reaction, we overreacted, we should have done some things that we learned from, policies that we didn't follow properly, and we don't want people to get fired. We're going to redo this, and we're going to exonerate this kid. That's the only path to get out of this thing.
And look, I'll tell you right now, we are not trying to hang anyone for this. We don't want this to be a win-lose situation. We are more than open. Everyone that I have spoken to at the school district and the school has my cell phone number. I have told them I will pick up their call any time of day or night, weekend or weekday. I want to resolve this issue, and I want to resolve it in an amicable way. We're more than open to talk to them. We will sit down and hash this out, and we can come out together and make the great announcement that everyone in the situation is reasonable and that the problem is solved. But right now, they've given us no indication that we can do that.
It sounds like you're more sensible than they are.
Well, absolutely. And, but I think you're on the right track, Jeff. We've got, was it schoolbushero.com? Is that the petition site?
Yep, the petition site is schoolbushero.com.
So let's, we're going to blast that out on social media to get as many signers as we can to prove to the school district and to the principal and the powers to be that this student needs to be exonerated. He needs to be held up as a hero and not condemned as a criminal per se.
Absolutely.
And in the same respect, there's a donation site, cypresslakehero.com. For folks that want to donate to the cause, help this guy if he needs legal counseling, if he needs money to pay for legal counseling, if he needs money for college. This kid was a hero. He did a heroic thing. He needs to be held up as a hero and not as a criminal, not suspended from school. Before we go to break, let's take one last call, and then Jeff, I'll let you go as soon as we get rid of this last caller. He's got a question. We've got line 1, Sick Rick. Dan from Marco, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us, buddy?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Great, thanks.
I got a question for the representative here. Just curious. You said this kid was held for 4 hours being interrogated?
Yep, that's exactly right.
All right. Now, if this issue doesn't get resolved, is there any were the people interrogating him? Did they read him his Miranda rights prior? And if not, if this doesn't get resolved, is there a possibility of like a lawsuit for
false imprisonment
or anything like that?
That's a great question. From our information and from talking with the student and the mother and everyone involved, they never read him any sort of Miranda rights. They didn't give him any indication that he didn't have to talk. In fact, they did exactly the opposite. They were recording the interrogation. They then stopped the recording and said, if you lie or if you don't tell us what we need to know, it will get much worse. And then they started the recording again. So they gave him every indication, both explicitly and implicitly, that if he refused to talk, that if he gave any misleading information, that he would be punished even worse than he had already been punished.
Well, there you have it.
And,
I mean,
we should note that you're not looking to take this thing to court. Right now, you just want it resolved. And so that's
right.
You know,
to address that question, look, we want to resolve this in an amicable way. We want to.
Thanks for the call, Dan.
The flip side of that, and I want to be open about this, the flip side of that is we are not going away, and that's the message we've been sending to the school district and the school. We will pursue this issue until this student sees justice. If we have to file a lawsuit, we will. If we have to file a lawsuit against the assistant principal who issued the referral himself, we will do that. We will take whatever form of recourse is necessary to get justice for this student.
Well, I tell you what, Jeff,
Joe David Downs.
We'll be behind you. I'm sure that any of the attorneys listening right now are probably foaming at the mouth to help you guys out on this incident for multiple reasons at multiple levels. But we want to thank you for coming on the show with us. It's a big story.
Yep.
We appreciate all of your insight, and I know people they can go to youthrights.org to learn more about your organization. They can go to schoolbushero.com to sign the petition for the anonymous Cypress Lake student hero. We can also send folks to cypresslakehero.com to donate for this cause. Jeff, thanks for the call. Thanks for being on the show with us today. We really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks so much for having me on, and again, thanks so much for your support. You guys and everyone out there has been absolutely amazing. So for myself and the family, we just thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care. We're going to go to break. 277-9600, 775-9600. The Ledge Radio Show will be right back.